So what you're looking at here is my second brain in Obsidian. Small dots here are nodes, which just represent concepts. And the lines here showing how all of this is interconnected. Last month, Andrej Karpathy, founding OpenAI member, former Tesla AI director, and as of yesterday, now joining Anthropic, posted this long thread breaking down how he uses LLMs to build and maintain his own personal wiki using Obsidian, and basically inspired me to recreate my own second brain, but with his system. He calls this an LLM Wiki, or markdown files organized by topic and kept current by Codex or Claude, whatever your model of choice is. And so for about 2 months now, I've used this LLM Wiki system in Obsidian, coupled with my own added layer on top, which I'll go over later in the video. And overall, this juice is definitely worth the squeeze. And so my second brain here in Obsidian includes articles, transcripts, notes I've saved, things I find important, decisions I've made, stuff like that. And the reason why this matters is because every AI agent I run, Claude or Hermes, OpenClaw in the past, whatever the next best thing is, I can plug and play and connect this to that LLM or agent and reference my second brain in seconds. It remembers what I decided 3 weeks ago, the ideas that keep coming back, and how they all interconnect. Quick background, I spent the last 5 years working as an analyst / statistician from startups, Fortune 500 companies, and for the last stretch, utilizing AI to maximize my output where possible. And I think it's an understatement for me to say that AI has changed my life, and so I'm here to share what I'm learning, what I know, and truly crazy times we live right now. And so I'm all here for it. That being said, I think about second brains the same way I think about data sets or databases, and especially as a source of truth, where in most companies and businesses, 75% of the time this stuff is missing, or is like living in a data silo out there somewhere in the wild. Most of the data that you'll be ingesting will likely be unstructured, meaning that basically the opposite of like Excel spreadsheets. With that comes a lot of noise. And the goal here is to get our data as structured as possible. And in a way, this LLM Wiki is a step forward in helping us tap into our own data by tagging it, making it just a bit more structured so that it's easier to reach. It's more accurate when we get our responses from agents, and something we get to keep and hold on to. Point here is our job is to maintain and upkeep that signal in our data so that we can continue to use it in the long run. So here's a diagram that I created that should help you understand how this LLM Wiki works. The thing to note here is this folder structure. Really, it's not as complicated as it looks. The folder structure is right here. It's just really two main components. You have the raw folder in that structure, which will be the place you drop your files in, the things you want to include in your second brain, things you want your agents to pull from and reference. And then you have the wiki here, which is generated after the raw files have been ingested by your AI model, whatever that is. And then you'll have summaries that come out and look like, and it'll look like this. So in Obsidian, when those raw files have been ingested, here markdown files of that stuff will have been created. And as you can see here, it's kind of like in a wiki style format. Main thing to know is raw is just your source material, your articles, your papers, voice memos, whatever it's transcripts. You drop stuff in and the AI will never edit this folder. And then for the wiki, it's just markdown pages of all the stuff that AI writes, summarizes, creates those entity pages. This is entirely AI. You read it and you don't really touch anything else in here. And so the third main component of this folder structure is going to be this schema file. And this can be an agent or a Claude MD file. You can think of this as just like a configuration file that tells your agent how this is structured, the conventions, and how to operate this stuff. So over time, you can edit and improve it. How this will look like in action is you drop a file into raw, you tell the AI to ingest it, and your reason summarizes whatever you put in into the wiki, and then you can go in and read it. Now this linting piece here is like the automated self-healing and maintenance phase that basically keeps your database structured, keeping it from decaying over time. It acts as that like internal audit that prevents your wiki from turning into a mess. And how that works is if it catches any inconsistencies, this will automatically happen in the backend and come up with this lint file where you can go in there, read it, see if there's any contradictions or inconsistencies, and decide what you want to do with it by telling your agent how to handle that lint. So for example, this is what it's going to look like. You'll be alerted to hear if any lints come up, and this is how you actively work with the system to keep your second brain maintained, consistent, and accurate. So there's 5 total pieces to the things that I've added here. And I've also ranked each in terms of usefulness. with green being probably the most high leverage thing and orange being maybe not so important. But how it works is you auto ingest. Instead of me remembering to tell my agent every time to drop in a source, I just have a worker, whether that's a cron job or your agent or an automated task, where I have a schedule script that runs to check my raw folder and ingest some of this stuff. I do have an agent on a Mac Mini that's running at the end of every day at 11:55. And that doesn't need to be your setup. Yours could be like a cron job on your laptop. It could be a schedule agent that runs maybe only when your machine is on, so which is totally fine. Point is something that automatically ingests so that I'm not always telling it to ingest. And the second thing here is the ingested folder, which is just a markdown file called ingested. That tiny file tells the worker this source has already been processed, and how it does that is by tagging. And so without that, the agent can process the same thing twice, create duplicates, or get confused about what's new. And so if I drop in like 10 transcripts, for example, the agent knows which ones are done and which ones still need work. And the third is validation. This is the data analyst part of my brain, garbage in, garbage out. So if my second brain is going to feed my agents, and if I'm using it to make content or important decisions, I need to know that the sources are real, the links work, and that the agents did not just make up some fake page because it wanted to be helpful. And so I have this as the validating barrier, you could say. It checks for the front matter, the source paths, wiki links, if the raw files exist. It catches structural problems before I end up trusting an answer. So the agent can review meaning and quality. Fourth is GitHub, and this is probably like one of the least sexier things. So this GitHub piece gives you a backup option. It also gives you a clean history of what's changed and one shareable version in case you have a different computer or Mac Mini or whatever other machine you might have that you want your second brain to connect to or agent to connect to. Goals to show what's changed, what's been deleted, what's been added, and if it's bad, revert it. And fifth is a weekly synthesis. This is the part that makes it feel less like a storage and more like a brain that's automatically upkept. Once a week, a worker reads the recent wiki page that's been added, looks for patterns, and goes through what topics keep coming up, what decisions have been made, any open questions that might still be unresolved, or what should probably become a skill, maybe a separate project, or keep a note for later to remind you about. And so that's basically my added layer in a nutshell. Again, I have an agent that's assigned to managing my second brain and taking care of all this stuff. So now for the setup part, you can download Obsidian on their website. Pretty simple, it's free. And once that's done, you see something like this come up. Go ahead and create a new vault. I've already created mine as second brain. And then once you have that, you just copy the link to this repo in the description below. And your agent should basically take care of everything. Once it's done, this is what it'll look like. You have the main components, the raw, the wiki, the agents. This is just some other stuff that I've added, but pretty simple. That's it. Important things is that raw stays raw. AI does not rewrite it. It does not clean it up. It just reads it. Wikis where the AI writes the useful stuff and make the connections in markdown files. And that schema or agents ND file is the rulebook. And so now you have a place where files or an agent can go in and read and reference. And so I put together all of these pieces into one second brain starter kit, which I've included in the description below, so go and check that out. So it's just a markdown file. You hand to whatever coding agent you already use. It asks the questions, it builds the prompt for you. And the starter kit makes your agent do 4 things. It interviews you, asks you what operating system you already have. Do you already have Obsidian Vault? Are you using Claude, Codex, Cursor, etc.? So do you want auto ingest? Do you want validation? Do you want this GitHub sync? How often should your worker run if you want that added? Second is it writes a plan, the files it needs to create, commands it wants to run, what it's unsure about, anything that could touch your computer in a meaningful way. And after it's done, you approve the plan according to how you answered, and then it builds it. Then we'll basically start building it according to how you answer the questions. And the last thing it does is verifies. It lets you know that you have a working system when you have a working system. That's basically it. So pick it up, give it to your agent. It'll add on Karpathy system as well as my added layer. So let's go ahead and test this thing. Let's see. Remind me what we discussed and decided about a month ago. Just finished. Looks like it went through the second brain skill. And yeah, about a month ago this time, I was actually setting up my second brain. So there it is. Pretty neat. It was pretty fast. It only took about a minute. And so if you haven't already set up your own agent harness and you're interested in how I set up my Hermes agent in Slack, this video right here will get you set up. And if this video is helpful at all, leave a like and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.